Everyone has questions about Mr. President and the First Lady, and so I'm going to try and answer some of these questions. This is Janet Adams for Bald Eagles Naturally, and today's question is there still time for Mr. President and the First Lady to have eggs? The simple answer to this question is it is doubtful. Bald eagles are driven by instincts, and in various regions across the country, bald eagles lay eggs at varying times. Mr. President and the First Lady reside in the Chesapeake Bay or Northeast region of the country. However, Washington, D.C. could be considered on the cusp line between North and South. You know, the old Mason-Dixon line. Southern eagles typically lay their eggs beginning in November and continuing through December or maybe into January. At the Northeast Florida nest of Gabrielle and Samson, there was a big surprise on January 13th when Gabrielle laid the first egg between this couple. This nest was the former home of Romeo and Juliet, who typically laid eggs in mid-November. So surprises can happen, and they did at this nest with the laying of 2 eggs on January 13th and January 16th. Bald eagles on the lower eastern shore of the Chesapeake Bay and in southern Maryland lay eggs in late January, while eagles along the upper Chesapeake Bay and inland lay eggs in late February or early March. There is not a great distance between southern Maryland and the upper Chesapeake Bay. The D.C. nest is just about in the middle. So relatively speaking, the D.C. eagles should be laying eggs in February or March, as they have in the past. As we see in the nesting history that can be found on the webcam page for the D.C. eagles, it was estimated that DC-1 was laid on February 7, 2015. There's absolutely no way to confirm this. However, for the other eggs laid by TFL, they were laid on February 10th and 14th, 2016, February 19th and 23rd, 2017, and March 25th and 28th, 2018. The switch from February egg laying to the end of March seems to be a fairly drastic change. But since we know clutches can be lost, and after a month or so another clutch laid, I'm guessing that could have happened in 2018. Unfortunately, we just will never know. This chart that you are looking at, many of you have seen, but it does need some explanation. As you notice in the second line where it says egg laying / incubation, the egg laying begins, if you line things up, around the first part of February, and that continuation of that line includes incubation. So from egg laying through the end of incubation is around the middle of April. So if you go past the middle of April, chances are you're not really going to see any eggs. Is there time still to lay eggs? My answer is no. Remember, it takes 5 to 10 days for an egg to form after a successful mating, and the female must be in a fertile period. We can't see what the eagles do away from the nest, but there is not much mating going on now, and Mr. President doesn't look very happy at all. From the Center for Conservation Biology, I found this interesting question and answer. When do eagles mate, lay their eggs? Breeding season changes with latitude such that northern pairs breed considerably later than southern pairs. Just within the Chesapeake Bay, there is a 5-day difference in laying date between the James and Potomac rivers, a distance of about 100 miles. Along the James River, nest building begins to intensify in October. We see courtship from late December through mid-January, and most pairs have laid eggs by mid-February. Virtually all pairs have laid by the end of February. The earliest pairs here on the James are on eggs by mid-December. So we have to say from this interesting answer that the First Lady laying eggs in March is not normal. These next couple of screenshots are breeding pairs of bald eagles in the state of Virginia. You can see how many there are, and it's no wonder we've seen visitors or intruders to the DC nest. When I was doing my research for this particular video, there are literally hundreds of websites and articles about bald eagles and laying of eggs. I will put a link in the description to this video of the places that I went to for my research. Finally, let me say, I'm just as disappointed as anyone else that we don't have eggs at the DC nest this year. But all we can do at this point is wait and see what happens next. There are still some more questions that I would like to answer in future videos, so I hope you'll stay tuned for those when they come out. I want to thank each and every one of my subscribers for the kind thoughts about these educational videos. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.